Hi everyone, Jason from Makera here with another Makera CAM tutorial, and in this one we're talking about vector pocket paths. Now, vector pocket paths are incredibly capable paths that allow you to create pockets in your design, as well as to do things like facing material and cutting things out in intricate ways. The first thing you need is a vector design file like this, where you can select different aspects of your design file. Now, a typical thing I might do with a project like this is want to create pockets where I actually remove material within these letters. So to do that, I'll select the letters in the design and then create a pocket path. The cutting depth for our pocket path usually starts at the surface of your material if that's how your work coordinate system is set up. And then the end depth will be how deep the pockets will go. So if I want to create a very shallow pocket, I could select a 0.5 depth, for example. You most likely don't need to adjust your safe positions unless you're trying to work around different clamps and things like that for your design. And then you can select a series of tools, not just one tool, but several if you need to. For example, if I use a 2.5 millimeter bit and calculate this, we can see that I can't get very close to the edges of my design here because this bit doesn't quite fit well into the shapes of this design. I'm going to delete the 2.5 tool and instead select a much smaller bit, like for example a 1 millimeter tool, and we can recalculate. Now we can see that this 1 millimeter tool gets much closer in my design, but we can also see that there are many different travel paths because it's such a small bit, so it'll take many passes to clear out each letter. What I can also do is use several tools. So I'm going to add a larger tool again, for example, that 2.5 millimeter tool, and then I'm going to add my 1 millimeter tool after it. So I'm going from large to small. What that means is the 2.5 millimeter tool will be used first to then clear out a lot of material, and the 1 millimeter tool will then only clear out what is left in the design. And when I recalculate, I can see this, where we can see less travel paths internally, that's the larger tool, but yet we still have the sharper edge corners from the smaller tool. So both tools are now being used to clear out this pocket. Whenever you do this, it's important to make sure that these tools are set to be different tool numbers, as discussed in other tutorial videos. And of course, make sure that you have your feeds and speeds set to correspond with the stock that you're using. Within your vector pocket, you also have different strategies on how you'd like to actually clear out the pockets, whether you're doing an offset or parallel path, as well as working from inside out to outside in directions, and even offset, where if you wanted gaps to be larger or move farther away from the edges of your design, you can adjust that accordingly. Ramping can also be used so you do not plunge directly in material, but instead work gradually in at either a fixed or automatic angle, which is recommended for working with harder materials. Now, something else you could do with pockets is mill around objects or face your stock. So let's say, for example, I want to create this Makera design on a piece of stock that's 5 millimeters, but I actually want the final part of my design to only be maybe 2.5 millimeters. If I click on the outer outline of this design and then create a pocket, I'll have to adjust my bits because you can see that it will retain and keep the bits previously used. So let's switch to a larger bit. When I go to calculate, notice it ignores the Makera text completely. And that's because I've only selected the outer perimeter. So it's actually machining a pocket over the Makera text. So this would actually surface and face my stock to be 0.5 millimeter, or if I make it 2.5, which will give me my 2.5 finish that I wanted, I actually now have a surfaced design of 2.5. Alternatively, let's say that I selected the entirety of the design, so the outline, the text, the letters, everything. What would then happen if we go ahead and create a pocket? Now you can see it's actually machining the area around the text. So instead of giving me text that's cut into the design or a surfaced piece of material, it would now actually give me raised text around the design. As such, the vector pocket path function in Makera CAM is incredibly capable and allows you to create a wide range of projects across many different instances using your different bits, materials, and CNC machines.